Hello everyone, welcome to my guide on um, one of the formation counter analysis. So here there are three different formation we can choose to analyze. So for the first formation, basically this is the opponent formation. What we need to do is to create a formation that is able to beat this one. The first formation has a power level above 100k. It also uses 300 of the troop uh, troop possible deployment. So also one thing to note is there are meta units for PvP within this formation, such as the Miss Archer and the level 7 legendary Archer. So this is not an easy formation to win. If I want to win this formation, I can do it, but I will need to use one of my best arena formation in order to win here. It's not so simple. For that reason, I will not be doing this formation. Another formation, another formation that we can analyze is this one, but this is even stronger than the previous one. This one has 101k. But why I say it's stronger is because of the number of meta units in this formation compared to the others. First, you have the bombers. So these bombers are very PvP oriented. You have the force queen, also PvP oriented. You have the radiant warrior, also another PvP oriented, and you even have the dragons. So these are very PvP oriented kind of formation where you see at very high level. Um, you also notice the dark moon, and yeah, basically this formation is, I think, easily one of the top 500 arena kind of formation. Very expensive to get, also very strong and very few counters. One thing I want to mention here is that, yeah, if you see this kind of formation, we should just press the skip button immediately. It's not really worth it unless you are much stronger and you have spent a significant amount of money. Yeah, I'm not too sure why there's a barbarian here. So this is just the odd thing with this formation. The rest looks quite fixed. Okay, so I will not be discussing how to counter these. I want to be discussing how to counter the first one. Instead, I will be discussing the easiest one to counter, which is the second one. One of the reasons why I choose the second one is also because I can try to replicate to the best of my ability very similar formation to this, so that we can really test out, try out, um, not just in theory but in practice, how we can actually counter this formation. So many of these units I do have, they are also low level, so quite representative. What I have is quite representative of this formation. It's not the same, but it's quite close. So let me show you guys. And one other thing about this formation is that it's also not so PvP oriented. So this is my self-created one, as a replication of the the formation given. You can see mine is level 2. Over there, formation is level 3. This one is supposed to be a fox, nine tier fox level 2. Mine is level 5, but you can see that the HP and damage is quite similar to level 4. So it's quite, it can be used to replace. Here is a Venospore that is level 3. I have level 6 assassin to replace. So I try to replicate as much as possible to give a very similar feel of how this formation looks like. So again, the formation, and this is what I have done to try to replicate. I do not have all the characters, but or even the same levels, but it will be quite close. So power level is about 77.52k. Alright, so enough of so um talking about how to replicate. I now move on to how do we counter this formation. So the first thing you must take note of is in this kind of formation there are 4 different attack styles. So yeah, I forgot to mention one thing. So in here, why it's very hard to counter is because um although it looks very simple, that it's not going to be it's likely not going to be a speed or a dash, and it's most likely going to be outflank. Sometimes there are cases where this can be a backstab attack, where this Orca will buff the cross screen and this Yusa will stun the units. So it's not necessarily always an outflank, even though it looks like. And in the same way, if you look at this formation, first thing in your mind is probably like that split formation. Yes, so a split formation does work here. Mainly because there's a lot of rangers behind. I think it's also one of the best formation, but dash also works. Outflank also works, and backstab is the least likely to work. Okay, so I'll start with the biggest one, and then I will explain my formation of how to counter this. So why backstab is the least likely is because you throw in your main DPS without any tank, without anything. So they are very vulnerable, and they just throw them out into there's suicide, It's not a pretty practical move, not a rational move. Okay, so for my formation, what I, I have done to counter this is first I have the bombers. These bombers are quite easily obtainable through this fusion. Just go here, choose whatever common level 6 characters you don't like. I know plenty of people have plenty of these characters. Then all you just need to do is just fuse them with gold. No diamonds are needed. And there's a chance that you will get the level 6 bomber. And then after that you can there's also a chance you can get level 7 bombers. In this case, I have 2 level 7 bombers, 2 level 6 bombers. Not that difficult to get, I would say. Okay, so I have the PvP oriented characters to counter this. Next, I also have some DPS characters that follow up. I took from the formation, then I just reposition them in this area, and I took the archers. I also reposition them in this area. So not saying that my formation is based on all my characters. It is based mostly on what the formation of the opposite side has. The only addition that I have that is different is the punking. The paladin is more different, much weaker than what the mythical tank has. Also have the scout, um, which is, well, I would say slightly weaker than what the opponent have, and the assassins. So I have a bunch of things that are pretty similar to the opposite formation, and this is not something that um, is that difficult to create in a sense. I mean, if the counter formation is very difficult to create, you're using all the meta characters, then it's not really a counter. It's just an overwhelming power instead, right? You don't counter it because you just overwhelm it. So in this case, I'm not going to use my force queen. Although if I use it, it will be an overwhelming victory. I will be using some of the weaker characters to demonstrate how it works. So why use bombers? Bombers go in, instantly explode, do a massive amount of damage. Level 7 is capable of stunning briefly, very useful, especially in an arena battle. Backstab formation, go straight to the enemy base. Yeah, bombs are usually in backstab or outflank. If you use them in outflank, well, you can do that. There's no harm doing that. Definitely, you can do outflank. But I personally, against this formation, I use backstab because it does significantly more damage. Where I can put additional 3 more DPS in front, 3 more DPS in front. So with a total of 6 DPS in the forward front against all these tankers. So what you notice, the opponent side has 1 layer of tank, the rest are DPS, and this is a very common kind of arena, PvP arena at the lowest level or at the mid level. So I'm not sure whether there are people who does that still at my level. Okay, tank behind. Hmm. Yeah, people still do that, putting the tank in front. Yeah, okay. So people do put the tanks in front. Okay, so it's not that rare. People do put the tanks in front. They also put the Yusa in front. These Yusa are really AOE DPS, very strong against the poison masters. And these poison masters are DPS to kill down to bring down the tanks. Very high DPS, especially when the poison activates. Some supports Apostle. So I also have Apostle. I have also a melody. The opponent has a melody as well. Here. So I put mine here. So very similar kind of troop. A bit of positional change, a bit of strategical attack. Have the He has this Geomancer. I have the Geomancer behind. Okay. So why use Assassin? Assassin goes to the back, acts as a tank, and does a massive amount of damage along with the bombs. So after the bombs explode, this assassin will distract them and also deal damage from the back. Why I put my DPS in front? Okay, so this formation I created is to directly counter this formation. It's not an all-round general PV arena kind of formation. It's just for specific to this one. The DPS in front is because when you use assassin as a tank behind, the DPS will be distracted. Then all these DPS will start doing a lot of damage on these tankers to take them down as soon as possible before the DPS come back to the battle. Of course, I add some tanks here just to um, cause DPS alone will not be able to shoot down the tank before the tank reach the DPS. So this is just additional support. And why I put another tank far behind is because I'm using a 2-layer tank method. What this means is that you can see this is an AoE character. If I put all my tanks in front, they will all die to the AoE. Whereas if I put 1 layer of tank in front, when they die, the second layer take over. I will still have tanks, yeah, in the as the battle continues. Okay, so let me just demonstrate what happens if the opponent use the weaker style, which is backstab. So this is what happens. The assassin goes to the back, the bomb explodes. He loses all his main DPS because he sent them to suicide. So backstab is not a very wise method. Okay, so somehow he wins. Sometimes if in arena there is something known as probability. Especially with this poison master. Um, and all this Miss Archer, there's some randomness to it. But in general, usually one side will win. Sometimes you lose, but it's based on probability. Most of the time you still win. It's not always guaranteed win, but most of the time it wins. Yeah. So I will just play a few times just to show that this formation is much better. So the enemy just backstab. Yes. And okay. So I think that was like 4 or 5 to 1. Now let's see the enemy used the third best attack style called outflank. So he used outflank. I'm not too sure whether it works. Alright, so my formation still wins one time. Of course, I need to do a multiple time. I mean, if you do one time, you win just by luck. That's not a very fair judgment, right? So, okay, this is third battle. I mean, I wouldn't want to hide my losses as well. One thing I want to think one thing I want to for you all to bear in mind is that my formation is already using the bare minimum in order to win against this. It is a 67.66. It's a 67k power against the 77k power. Another thing you should note is that I'm using 197 um, droplet or cost limit compared to the opponent that is using 290. That's over 100 more. So we can I can just add a little bit more troop, and yeah, it should be like guarantee a win. But I just want to demonstrate what's the bare minimum. Okay, so outflank I win, backstab I win. Now dash and splits are very similar. I think it could be a 50-50. Let me try. I've not really tried it yet. Okay, so his dash is win. Okay, so he got one win in dash. Okay, I got one win in dash. It's 1-1 now. So we just had to replay a few times. So what I want to mention is that this is the bare minimum. Okay, 2-1. And I can still add more troops. So if I add more troops, I'm most likely going to win. Right now, if I'm winning um, more times, I'm going to win, right? If I get more troops. Okay. So his second best formation is the dash, I think. And his best formation is split. So as you can see, the bombs deals a massive damage when they are thrown in front. Yeah. Lost one. This is one loss to split. Second try. 1-1. Okay. Third try. 2-1. Okay, I mean, it's not conclusive of who is winning, so I'm going to do out of 5. 3-1. 3-2. So you can see it's very close in the battle. Because I'm not using the mental units. Okay, 3-3. I'm just using the bare minimum to hold the position for a tie. So okay, so he's now 3-4. So now he's winning me more time. So that's 3-5. Okay, so now I will show what happens if I add additional units. How much more you would change. So now I just add scouts. And you can see there's a whole much difference in the battle result. So there's 1, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. I have not used potion. 4-0. So you can see after adding the additional unit, it's almost guaranteed to win. And the battle cost is 2-1, which is much less than the opponent anyway. And this can be anything, right? It doesn't need to be Scout, but Scout is one of the best DPS. You can use Flame Mage, also very strong, stronger than Scout. So I have shown how it works. So here I put the 2 Scout here is to kill down the tank as fast as possible. Put the assassin to distract the back line. Put the bombs to damage the DPS behind because he doesn't have real tank. Have 2 layer of tanks. Have some support. Orca is in the center because I don't see any way he can kill it. So the buff will always be there. This Yusa is to fight against the Poison Master after the tanks have fallen. So most of the troop in my formation have some meaning behind as a way to counter the opponent. Although it doesn't really does a full counter because his characters are not say totally weak. Okay. So now, but if I add mental characters, you will see that there's a much bigger difference. Horse Queen will be best in outflank, but right now I'm going to do it in backstab. Even though it's not as effective, you can still see the effect of how powerful mental unit is. So I took out the scout, and people with just one Force Queen, the whole battle changed. Yeah, or the 2 Force Queen. Yeah, you see the whole battle changes drastically. Of course, here you can also do additional bombs. Put 1, 2, 3, 4 like this, and it will work as well. So I have not tried other ways. I have not added the dragon. Just not use scout. No, if you say you use poison master everywhere, the wind will be quite significantly in our favor. So here I have already shown some of the idea of how to counter this formation. There might be other better formation to counter, but this is just one way to counter. So this is my counter video. With that, I think that really is the end of the video. Yeah, I think that's all I want to discuss in this counter video.